In this video, I'm going to show you how to trade the expansion phase of price, and most importantly, how to enter before the expansion so you can take advantage of the entire expansion move and make as much money as possible basically. So this was a trade which I took live on stream just a few hours ago. This was my only trade for today. As you can see, this was a 9-hour trade. I entered before the expansion and got out fully at sell side liquidity. So this was a full trade, executed fully live on stream inside the Discord. And of course, if you want to join my live streams and learn my strategy, it'll be the first link in the description below. So let's get into the charts and let me do a full breakdown explaining how I took this trade. So first things first, when we come onto the charts, we start off on the daily chart. And first thing we can notice is we had a large bullish expansion yesterday. So now keep in mind, today's daily candle hasn't printed yet. We do not have this massive move to the downside. So we do not have the context of this. All we can see was yesterday, we had a large expansion towards the upside. Now what happens on a daily chart does not affect the lower time frames as much. I take a look at the daily just to have a rough idea of what is going on. However, the 1 minute, 2 minute or 3 minute chart does not bother what the daily chart is doing. So I just take a look at the daily just to have a rough idea of what price is doing. So in this case, I drop down to the 1 hour and I start trading at about 9 a.m. every day. We'll replay right before the 9 a.m. candle, right there. So when I came into my live stream, when I started trading, this is what I saw. Now, first thing we can notice is how the daily candle actually closed, right? So the daily candle closed over here and it opened over here. And also we do have this 1 hour fair value gap, which is really obvious and really clear, which price failed to tap into. So those are a few things to note. We have bearish SMT at the highs. We tapped into this 4 hour bearish gap over here. We rejected from it. We gapped lower at the daily open and we have this unfilled 1 hour fair value gap. So I mentioned on stream, if we head down to the lower time frames and price is reversing lower and we get a move towards the downside, I would be looking for price to tag Asia low into this 1 hour fair value gap. Okay, we also do have equal lows over here. This is equal lows. And of course, Asia low, a key level of time-based liquidity. So of course, my indicator automatically plots this. So it's very convenient for me. So now dropping down to the 15 minute. So in this case, we can mark out the new day opening gap over here. So the way I treat a new day opening gap is just like any other fair value gap, any other imbalance. But you can argue that the new day opening gap is a bit stronger than a regular fair value gap. But at the end of the day, it is just an imbalance. If you had a bullish bias today towards previous day high over here, you have to understand before price can tag this high, we have to get past the new day opening gap. We have to displace past this imbalance before we head towards previous day high. So there is a level of resistance before we're able to head up higher. However, if you want to head down lower, there is basically no resistance. If anything, we have these low resistance liquidity, right? In these failure swings, this is low resistance liquidity. So price can just run through, right through them. We also have London low and Asia low resting right below. You can see Asia consolidate. London also was a consolidation. We didn't really trend anywhere, was just about 80 points. So when I came into the charts at the 15 minute, what I noticed was price swept London high, right? You can see this candle basically rejected ever since we swept London high. So at this point, I'm seeing, okay, price is not so willing to move higher. So let's head down to the lower time frame and see what's happening. So now we're here at the 1 minute chart and we can see very clearly price came up. We barely tapped into London high, right? We went above it by like 1 or 2 points, barely went above London high. We came back lower. So when we barely sweep a level of liquidity like this, you can be pretty much assured that price will head up there once again. And we did. So we went up once again, swept this high as well, and we reversed lower. So at this point, we formed this bearish inversion. I don't use inversions as an entry, but it's a nice confluence to have whenever we spot it. And most importantly, we have this 1 minute plus 3 minute CISD. So since we have the 1 minute and 3 minute, since we have 2 time frames confirming the CIST, that is a much higher probability reversal, right? Because you have multiple time frames confirming it. So you can obviously mark this out manually as well. If you don't have the indicator, you can head up to the 3 minute and you can see clearly there was a 3 minute CIST. So now I'm going to forward price a bit. You see what happens. You can see we came back up into that inversion, and then we came down and we formed another 1 minute CIST. And if you forward it just a bit more, you can see we also confirmed a 2 minute CIST at the same level. So now we have multiple confirmations that price is willing to move lower. We have the initial CIST to confirm the reversal, and we have the secondary CIST over here to confirm the continuation towards the downside. So at this point, I am confident that price is going to head down towards London low and Asia low. So at this point, I am looking for an entry to go short. So I forward price just a bit. And as you can see, we formed another continuation CIST. So this is where I went short right there. My stop loss is above this strong high right there. And the reason I say this is a strong high is because if you notice, this swing high over here swept a previous level of liquidity. So when we sweep a previous level of liquidity, this becomes a strong high. So that is why I'm putting my stop loss above this high, because this is a strong high that should not be broken. And now my final take profit is going to be all the way down at Asia low. And keep in mind, this trade I'm taking is before 9:30. My entry is at 9:22 a.m. So the reason I'm confident in taking a trade before 9:30 is because if you notice, this was the 8:30 opening price right there. And 8:30 had already completed the manipulation phase. But 8:30 has already manipulated above London high, and we've already reversed lower. So once 8:30 has done the manipulation for us, 9:30 will just be an expansion towards our drawn liquidity, which in this case would be Asia low. So I'm placing my final take profit at Asia low, and I decided to take partials at a 1 to 3 raised to reward. My partials would be around 1 to 3 raised to reward, and my final take profit is at Asia low. So let's forward price. You can see price really started dumping lower. We came down below London low, right over here. We came back up into London low, and at that point you want to see price use London low as a resistance to continue moving lower. So if you forward, you can see we did use London low as a resistance level, and we continued expanding towards my final take profit at Asia low right there. So that was the full breakdown of the trade, from my higher time frame analysis to my lower time frame confirmation, execution, taking partials, and taking my full take profit at Asia low for a 1 to 9 risk to reward trade. Now, of course, I did trail my stop loss along the way. As price continued moving lower, I trailed my stop loss, did everything live on stream, explained my whole thought process, executed it live, managed the whole thing live. I don't do hindsight trades over here. Everything I take is done live on stream. As you can see, it's really simple. No need to overcomplicate it with a bunch of concepts. All I used was SMT, liquidity, fair value gaps, and CIST. And everything else is just how you interpret price action and how you put together those simple concepts to build a profitable trading strategy. So hopefully you guys learned something from this video. And of course, if you want to learn directly from me, join my mentorship, learn my strategy, and trade with me live, that would be the first link in the description. Peace.